The Mystara project is proud to present Part 15 of the Lore of Mystara series. In this video, we take a look at the period after BC 1000, ending in BC 971. The Orcish king, Othrong, was able to rule the Hin with only a small warrior band. His vision was to create an Orcish paradise, free of hunger, and away from the cold, harsh caves of the Black Spires. He wanted to this abundant kingdom of Othrong be remembered in Orcish legends. A realm where orcs would live in luxury, supported by the work of slaves, initially Hin, but no doubt other species as the orcs conquered more territory. The Hin slaves grew crops to feed the orcs and the livestock that the Hin once owned. Othrong ordered the stronger Hin to convert more forest to farmland, to create a bountiful food supply. They were also forced to clear forest roads, where attacks from dangerous creatures was a constant threat. However, during bad storms, some Hin youths managed to slip away from farms and road gangs. Most were able to evade recapture. These escapees adventured far and wide, establishing this rite of passage, called Yalara. Some decided to stay in foreign lands. Others found Hin who had relocated over the past 3 centuries and sparked their anger at the Orcish oppressors. These Hin returned to fight the orcs. However, in pitched melees the orcs were too strong. Roaming Hin bands concentrated their raiding efforts in the southwest of Othrong's realm and to the east of the Cruth River. For 30 years from BC 1000, the Hin started to grow stronger, whilst the orcs grew complacent. Soon after BC 1000, Alphatian wizards began settling the island continent to the south, which they named Belissaria. The island was apparently not inhabited by sentients, offered rich soil, and afforded some independence, through distance, from Sundsvall. The wizards carved out kingdoms, where they hoped would peacefully support their magical studies. After BC 1000, the basic lupin breed from Hutarkans and gnolls spread out over the continent of Brune. From the basic lupin, breeding with other canines created new breeds. Some of these were the rabbit-hunting royal basset hounds, the greater golden retriever archers and ye-olde great dog, bred on the Isles of the Northern Reaches. Maintaining more pure Hutarkan bloodlines were the Nithian ramblers. Lupins were seen as another form of beast men by the Traldar, an unwelcoming attitude that is still present in AC 1000. Not long after BC 1000, the moon dragon fell out of favor with the Great One. Chaotic dragons competed in non-lethal combat for a year before the Great One, to become the new moon dragon. Sometime between BC 1000 and BC 500, the immortal Kor-Yis returns to Old Alphatia, only to find it destroyed. Dismayed, he tracks the Alphatians to Mystara where he gained a following among merchants. Sometime between BC 1000 and AC 0, Talitha was born in Alphatia, with common Alphatian ancestry. She became a master thief, and eventually gained Thanato's sponsorship on the entropic immortality path. By successfully stealing vital magical components and artifacts required by questing immortal candidates from the other spheres, she reduced the number of competing immortals to entropy. This made her very unpopular with their immortal sponsors. But Thanatos was impressed, so Talitha became the immortal patroness of cruel theft and self-gratification. Sometime between BC 1000 and AC 550, common Alphatian farmers, with no magical ability, settled the Alatian Islands, to escape magical aristocrats. It is possible that the islands may have already had settlers from Thoshar, dating from BC 1100 or later. Sometime between BC 999 and BC 997, the Grugrak gnolls founded the caverns of Grak, meaning harsh in their tongue, under the plane of fire. They discovered a strange world of caves, tunnels, mutated plants, and unusual creatures beneath the desert. Having nowhere else to go, they moved in. Their unfamiliarity with their new environment exacted heavy tolls in the first few years. Many of the strange plants, and some animals, proved poisonous. In the caves and tunnels, cave-ins and rockslides were common dangers. But there was plenty of water in underground rivers, streams, and pools, once they discovered which were contaminated and which were safe. And there was enough food to provide for the tribe. A Truagin, now a magic user, as part of his Path of the Polymath, visited Alphatia to study magic and to witness their imperial court. After BC 1000, the Traldar, led by Halav, Petra and Zirchorf, halted the Nolish eastward advance on the line of the Volaga River. However, Krakato's castle had been razed by the Gnolls. Sometime after BC 1000, the nasty destructive Nolish war leader, Yinogu, achieved immortality as a howling fiend in the sphere of entropy, sponsored by Thanatos. He took the name, Ranivorous, and became the patron of Gnolls, destructive warfare, influence over the weak, and multiple personalities. His following by shamans and warrior Gnolls commenced in Gnollheim. After BC 1000, in the penultimate battle of the Beastman invasion, the warlord of Clan Tarvon, Tarfil, son of Tarfun, fell. The Traldar won the day and buried the fallen in the barrows of what is now Kelvin Moor. After years of bloody warfare, on Felmont I, King Halav's forces overran the Beastman chief's encampment in the Vufold Hills, and Halav slayed the Beastman chief after a marathon combat. Halav died of his wounds, but was raised by Queen Petra of Krakatos. By the time the defeated Gnolls retreated, the Traldar population was 20% of its pre-invasion level. The Traldar Golden Age had ended. Their Dark Age had begun. The Traldar began recovery efforts. King Halav and Queen Petra married, uniting the petty kingdoms of Lav and Krakatos. They rebuilt Marilanev, and made it the capital of the united Traldar kingdom. They had a son, who they groomed as their heir. Sometime between BC 995 and BC 500, would-be Great Emperor, Demaces IV of House Kerethar, died after removing his necklace, containing 42 green jewels that protected against the 42 known Alphatian poisons, to bathe in what was poisoned water. His successor had a periapt against these poisons made, and gifted the necklace to a barbarian chief. In BC 992, in response to the humanoid attacks, the Burad Rodar, meaning the Order of Golden Battle, is formed in Dengar to defend the mountains with holy zeal from the invaders. For the next 500 years they fought the invading humanoids. Soon after Alphatian landfall, the absent-minded genius and air wizard, claimed a domain in the far northeast of the continent. Being about 800 miles from Sundsvall, this domain afforded some insulation from the politics of the capital. With the assistance of his many and experienced apprentices, began raising hills and mountains into the sky. Was secretly undertaking the path of the paragon in the sphere of energy, and this was part of his testimony to transform his homeland. His immortal sponsor was probably Ra-Zud, although Ixion is another possibility. In BC 990, Alphatians found the fishing village of Helskir, on the northern coast of the Isle of Dawn, about 720 miles west of the Alphatian coast. Sometime between BC 999 and BC 985, some Antalian slaves successfully revolted against their Nithian masters and fled into the jungle of northern Davania. They split into 3 separate tribes and took their tribal names from local mountains, Thyatis, Karendas, and Hatirs. Sometime between BC 975 and BC 965, the Traldar Trinity furthered their immortality quests. The crown prince was old enough to rule in their absence. Halav undertook the path of the epic hero in the sphere of thought, sponsored by Odin. He trained his son to be his heir. Zirchorf created the sword of Halav for him to wield, which he did to great effect. He achieved immortality and became the patron of warfare and weapon-making. His legendary sword was granted to his son. Petra undertook the path of the dynast in the sphere of time. Some say her sponsor was the yet-to-be-born Vonya via time travel, her fickle nature being unconcerned that Petra was one of the chief patrons of her chief enemies, the Mylenians. Petra reigned as queen of the Traldar for at least 20 years in the rebuilt Marilanev, using her powers to help regrow the population. She discovered a time travel artifact that allowed her to intervene to save her kingdom on 4 occasions from either economic collapse or war. She then traveled forward in time to assist her grandson, great-grandson and great-great-grandson preserve the dynasty until at least BC 895, against humanoid raiders, rival Traldar clans and imperial Nithian designs. She became immortal, patronizing defenders and fighting clerics. Zirchorf embarked on the path of the paragon in the sphere of energy, sponsored by Ilsundal. He chose a secluded valley south of the Zargash Spur and north of the Lake of Lost Dreams, as his home, which he called Haven. He began transforming it into a place of natural beauty where forest animals, humans, and demi-humans could live in peace and harmony. Zirchorf mainly trained Vialia elves as his apprentices. In his duels against high-level magic users, one of the rivals he banished was one of Halav's advisors, Oitulev. Zirchorf achieves immortality as the patron of forest folk, misfits, lycanthropes and hunting. After the Trinity achieved immortality, they sealed most of the entrances to Haven, and made it their immortal retreat, only allowing it to be found by mortals if they chose. Ordana, in her aspect as Thundara, agreed to aid Haven with beings from the realm of fairy known as protectors. Sometime between BC 975 and BC 696, Zirchorf created chevals to protect Traldar horses from predators and mistreatment by their owners. They are natural shapeshifters between their horse and centaur forms. This concludes part 15 of the Lore of Mystara series, covering the period after BC 1000 to BC 971.